downstairs.
Yay!
Yeah, in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, great, in the basement. They were. Yeah, sorry there are no windows in the basement, but you just have to figure out what we're doing. So Swindon, glorious Swindon. This was my local town actually for you can go off whenever you want. Are we ready to go? We are ready to go. Yeah, so you can pull off whenever you want. Yeah, so this was my local town when I used to live in Great Bedwin. So I lived around here for about 12 years. So actually, two of my children were born here in the old hospital when it was up on the ridge. Yeah, the BMH. So there's some strong connections here. But the reason why Swindon became Thursday Next Town is, and I apologise to anyone who heard this story before, because I'm sure I must do the same spiel. In fact, this is actually a recording from the last time I did this. The same sort of spiel. So the reason that Swindon was chosen, because I was many moons ago in another life, I worked in the film industry, and I was the production office runner, which basically meant sort of photocopying and post and stuff like that, and printing out call sheets on a film called The Champions, with which was about Bob Champion and Alderneaty winning the Grand National. Right, and we filmed that in about 1981, 1982, and because it was a horsey movie, we were on location all around sort of Lambourne Downs, and the best place to be based for that, of course, is Swindon. So we were staying in the Swindon Crest, which is right over the other side of the town. It's now demolished, and it was, shall we say, it was a little bit of a sort of lugubrious, sort of motel-y kind of hotel, and we were all based there, and it was all very funny. And I used to come into Swindon to do photocopying and post and stuff like that, and things, and in sort of 1981, but well before there was any sort of thought of Thursday Next, I was sort of looking around Swindon. I thought this was like perfect to set a book, or actually a movie at the time, because I was thinking I was going to be a movie maker, and it kind of always just stuck, and I just happened to end up living near here and then got to know it quite well, so it just seemed the obvious place to set a book, because one of the tenets by which I write is the less well trodden path. And what you do is you go, well, where am I going to set a book? And it's like, well, it'll be London, it'll be Edinburgh, it'll be Dublin, New York, Chicago, wow. But then you kind of think, no, that's the well-trodden path. Let's take the less well-trodden path and make it somewhere like Swindon. But then, of course, the obvious thing is to make Swindon into kind of a joke town like Basingstoke or Slough or something like that. But then the less well-trodden path is to say, no, let's make it into this sort of glittering centre of where everything happens, and there's a financial district and big sort of exciting glassy towers and everything. So that was kind of why I set it all here. I'm going to have to start pointing things out as we go around. So on our left, coming up there on the other side of the roundabout, you can see sort of a yellow building. That actually, I think it's listed, but it was the Renault headquarters for many years. And if you eagle-eye James Bond spotters will notice it as a location. And I think it's used quite often as a location for movies and stuff now. Don't know what it is now. Anyway, so as you all know, Swindon exports roundabouts to the world. They're grown on huge petri dishes in one of the industrial estates just off the centre of town. And once they're fully grown, then they're put on low loaders and exported around the country. And hopefully they can get some global exports. But unfortunately, Brexit has caused a bit of a trouble in the roundabout exportation industry. So we're hoping to license the technology rather than actually sending roundabouts. But anyway, there's God, this is all new. I haven't seen this at all.
No, I'm Swindonian.
Wow, look at this. This is amazing. Yeah.
Went on for a bit.
Yeah.
And there were two guys down this hole with a candle. Sorry, there was roadworks here, went on for a bit. There were two guys down the hole with a candle. And I said to him, well, that's a bit dangerous, isn't it? Testing for gas leaks with a candle. He said, not at all, sir. It's a hole's birthday.
Boom. Okay, so there's a Mini straight ahead, stuck on the side of a wall, which is quite nice, quite interesting. That must be the Bostik factory. So what else can we tell you about Swindon? So we're in the west of town now. Now, I mean, I always wonder, as the joke goes, you know, I wanted to, you know, achieve immortality, not through my work, but by through not dying, you know, as the saying goes. Apparently, spoiler alert, that option is not open to me. But I do have several streets named after characters in my book in Swindon. Which is kind of the next best thing, I think, because once all my books have been pulped, you know, distantly into the future, some conurbation on an island off the coast of Europe will have street names named after something that no one knows anything about. But at least, you know, that is sort of immortality of a certain degree. So I'll you know, accept anything now in this part of my career. It's like, you know, in the old days, I thought, you know, I wonder if I'll get a honorary doctorate, or, you know, an honorary degree from anywhere. You know, I'm actually now, I'll accept a BTEC, basically, an honorary BTEC in anything at all from anywhere, basically, and maybe an honorary GCSE actually, or an A level would be pretty cool, and I'd turn up anywhere to collect it, you know. So right, so this is a travelodge. This is all new. Swindon is, you know, expanding very, very quickly out in all directions, and I don't actually have a map of where we're going straight away. So are we going to Thursday Street, or?
No, that's too far out of town. We're going to go to TK Maxx next.
TK Maxx. Okay, so oh yeah. Okay, so TK Maxx, as all of you know, this is a real memory test for me. TK Maxx, I decided, was actually where prisoners are looped, put in a time loop, and actually you stay for, you know, 20, 30 years looped in 5 minutes of time inside a TK Maxx, and that's essentially what it was, because, you know, that's what the Max means in TK Maxx. And I kind of like that idea of being looped in some way, and you just can't get away. And I have this because there are many ways in which I could do little spin-off stories from any of my books. And I think that's, you know, I might do maybe some short stories of spin-offs. And the idea of being actually stuck in a sort of 5-minute loop has a nice Groundhog Day feel about it. But how far could you get in that 5 minutes? And, you know, every single time it all resets. I kind of like that idea. And every now and again, someone would appear, your lawyer would appear, you know, and discuss things with you. But basically, you'd be stuck in this endless loop, which I think would be pretty mean, to be honest. But I just like the idea. Right. So TK Maxx somewhere down here. Okay. The gasworks used to be there.
The Great Western Gasworks.
Ah, the Great Western. 2 gasworks. Actually, a real tour of Swindon would probably be actually far more interesting. So we're going. This is like the sort of the Swindon's version of the M25, basically. Although it's moving a lot faster than the M25. Okay, yeah. Well, it was Sunday, aren't we? That's true. So it's going to be a little easier. Yeah. So I mean, years ago, I mean, my twins now they'll be 34 this year. But when they were 5, on Sunday mornings, because there was no Sunday shopping in those days, we used to go tricycling around the centre of town, because it was big and empty and everything, and sort of end up at McDonald's for some fries. And I used to take my unicycle around, so it was quite amusing, because I don't think you were meant to kind of do that. And every now and again I used to hear this disembodied voice from the security saying something that I should stop cycling, and I just ignored it, and they never came out to stop me, so we just carried on. But it was quite fun, a little bonding moment, you know. Actually, my 5-year-old was probably hideously embarrassed, but you know, nice little weeping willow there, nice on a little roundabout. Very nice. Advertise here, but no one's actually taken that opportunity to advertise here, except a sign that advertise is advertisements. The Limbo Bridge over there to your right. We will be going under it, but at quite a rate of speed, and I would suggest that anyone in the top deck would duck. Okay, so this is TK Maxx. Very sort of normal looking box. Yeah, it was. I did actually write a short story about it, about being looped in TK Maxx. I thought it was quite nice, actually, quite sort of touching. It is published somewhere. You might be able to find it on the internet, or maybe oh no, it's part of Jasperland. I did this thing during the lockdown 1, where every day for 100 days, I did something new on the internet on JasperFforde.com, and I think it was a short story, and I called it Adventures in Jasperland rather grandly. And I think you can find it there, called Looper. If anyone hasn't actually discovered Jasperland, Adventures in Jasperland, or my website even, it is there, JasperFforde.com. Someone was looking at it the other day, or they looked at it and they sent me an email, and they said that I really like your website. You know, that's how the email began, and I thought, well, that's a good start. And they said it just looks so old-fashioned. And I thought, well, that's kind of nice, you know, because it has a sort of classic HTML feel. You just carry on, I think. Yeah, just carry on. Yeah, just carry on. Yeah, because it has a sort of classic feel, and it does. So, you know, if you really want to look at what websites we're looking at in 2003, you know, have a look at JasperFforde.com, because that's what it is. It doesn't do anything. I introduced justified text in about 2009, and that was the biggest technological advance that JasperFforde.com has ever seen, to be honest. And I was really, really pleased with myself. So yeah, it's very much how websites used to look, but it does mean it's very easy to manage and edit and change and everything else, because HTML is just like a doddle, really. And even if you forget how to use it, you just cut and paste from another one that looks right, and then when all the text goes squiffy, you just change text until you change coding until you get it right, and then you go, oh yeah, that's how you do it. So you kind of have to relearn it every time, because I don't do it enough, but it's good stuff. And also I get classic website insurance, which is much cheaper, of course. Right, so we're going to go here. I think that I could probably make some joke about picking bogies, if the bogey is still there. There used to be a railway bogey outside McDonald's. It's probably now been covered in foliage. Are the bogies there? Bogies, where are you? Wheel set, do you call them? Wheel set. It is a wheel set. A bogey is a whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole truck. There we go. There's a wheel set. Thank you. Off a diesel shunter. Thank you very much. There we go. So we have the Great Western Railway to our right. This is a Brunel creation. So if you want to look at a great piece of Victorian engineering, there you go. I mean, it's been messed about with since then. I mean, it used to start as broad gauge. It was originally broad gauge because the idea was that Brunel thought that wouldn't it be amazing if you could travel at a heady 40 miles an hour while drinking a cup of coffee in the carriage. And everyone went, oh ho ho, Mr. Brunel, what a wag you are. And he had this idea that broad gauge was the way to go. And he ran the sleepers actually longitudinally, lengthways, and it was like 7 foot. Which is much more than the 4 foot, 7 3/4 or whatever it is now. And it was great, it was a really good system, but like many gauge wars, you know, like Westinghouse and Edison, it didn't win out and fell into abeyance. But the beautiful thing about the Great Western Railway is it's very, very flat and nice and pleasant. And if ever you're in Maidenhead, go and visit the bridge over the Thames at Maidenhead, because it is still, even today, the longest, flattest brick arch on the planet, and that's a Brunel creation, and it's low like that because he wanted to have it dead flat all the way to when you start going down into Bristol. You actually used to change trains because they, obviously you don't have a gearbox on a train, but you can actually change the size of the driving wheel to get a different gear. So what they used to do is used to change trains at Swindon, which is essentially why Swindon is a huge place, because it's not on a river, or anything like that, major like that. So they used to change trains for the gearing to be able to take you down to Bristol. But the amusing thing was that the amount of revolutions that it required to get from London to Swindon and then Swindon to Bristol was the same, even though the distances were different. Don't you learn amazing things on trips around Swindon? Is anyone still awake? Oh, hooray! How about that?
The world's first high-speed railway.
The world's first high-speed railway. Yeah, first high-speed railway link. Yeah, but not still. Yeah, that's what was someone saying about HS2. Won't it be nice that Britain will be actually coming up to European 1993 standards when it comes to rail transport. Not that I support HS2, but infrastructure is good. Okay, so this is the old mini factory, which is not, as the name suggests, a mini factory, because if it were a mini factory it'd be like the size of a shoebox, which is, you know, what I would expect. Oh my god, look at that scrap. Wow, it's like Wall-E basically, isn't it? It's sort of Wall-E theme park. That is so cool. Okay, so this is now mini BMW. That is a mini factory. Just like to say what an exciting piece of architecture that is. Imagine being given this brief. Right, you're going to build a factory, and you go, what are your thoughts on the factory? Well, we've been thinking about it for 6 months, and we've come up with the idea that it should be a grey box. I love it. Wow, wow, wow! I love it. That is such a brilliant idea, and it is. And no windows. We don't want any windows. No windows would spoil the nice square lines. So they're a nice little grey box. There we go. The Mini. I learned to drive on a Mini. I took my test on a Mini. They're great cars. I mean, the old ones, obviously, not the new ones. I've never been in one. I expect they're much. There is one, a Mini. And there's a man with a dog. I expect they're much like any modern cars. Right, where are we heading to next?
We're going over Green Bridge.
Yeah. Okay, so we're kind of in the north of town at the moment. Kind of in the north of town. I guess we will cross the railway at some point. Probably coming over here now. What else can we say about Swindon? Yeah, so I used to do recce's here because when I wanted to set the books here, I decided that I better do location recce's. So I knew how to describe various journeys, because you can actually do. There's a journey that Thursday does in her car, which takes you from where her mum lives to where she lives in Old Town, and there is actually a journey that you can do with Mrs. Havisham in the Higham Special, which takes you from a town. Was it Wantage? I can't remember. Takes you from the town over to I don't know, somewhere else. Anyway, when I did the location recce, you could actually do that journey, but now of course you can't turn right onto the A417, I think, so you can no longer do that journey, unfortunately.
You mentioned W.H. Smith.
I did not mention the W.H. Smith building. I will mention it in passing. Yeah, no, it's W.H. Smith, or Smith, as my children used to call it. And I'm sure, you know, anyone who up there with children or whatever, or who is a former child, will, when your children say bizarre things, they become part of the family lexicon. So we always refer to W.H. Smith now as Smiths. In the same way as we call olives Linneys, because I think my son, aged 3, described them as Linneys. So we just always call them Linneys now. So here we are in going past W.H. Smith. Very exciting, and the famous red light of Dorking, as it's known. This is the red light district. There is actually many red light districts in Swindon, which are positioned, curiously enough, near traffic junctions. Which also coincides with the equal number of amber light district and green light districts. Did we go over the railway then? We did, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Yeah, so we're now south of the railway. Right. So I think that is the Blessed Lady. If you're looking straight ahead, you can see a steeple. And if I am not very much mistaken, that is meant to be the Blessed Lady of the Lobster Church, which should be on the road up to Old Town. I'm trying to.
Yeah, that is.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, in Old Town. Yeah. Okay. Smart cars over there, Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, I love roller skates. I had a smart car for years and I loved it. I mean, it's the most fun new car I think I've ever owned. But the ECU went and it basically crashed. I mean, not literally. It was like figurative. Well, I suppose it was literally. But what used to happen is they used to pull into traffic, you know, across 2 lanes of traffic, and it's like, right, go. You know, it's all safe if you go. And then all the lights would come up and the engine would stop right in the middle of a junction, and you had to turn it off and then turn it back on again. So I think it worked on like Windows SE or something, but it was a terrible thing. And in the end, the car was perfect, and I took it to several smart people, and they just said, no, we just got no idea what it is, because there are like 28 different sensors, and they can all, if one of them is sending an aberrant signal, it can just crash the whole system. So it had to be scrapped, which is a great shame. And there it is now, just to your left. It's now going for $39.95. Right, so where are we now? This is where my eldest son went to college, just on our right. And we're probably going to turn left, actually, up towards Coat Water. Are we? I don't know. No, you. No, you. No.
Over the magic roundabout.
Oh, a magic roundabout. Excellent.
Up to past the Super Boot Stadium.
Okay, thank you.
Past Tesco, there's lifts.
Oh, thank you.
And then back round the magic roundabout, and then down Old Town towards.
Thank you.
HQ.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Okay.
This is why I came.
So we are not going to Coat Water, nice though it is. No. We're going to stick to the route. We're not going to change anything. Okay, so so that would be the Super Hoop Stadium, which is directly ahead of us, and we're approaching the Magic Roundabout. The town council, apparently, when they put this in, I mean, this is a quite exciting feature. I mean, we should go around it a couple of times, in fact. This is quite an exciting feature of Swindon, and as you may know, Swindon is kind of used as a test bed for all kinds of things, because it's considered a, you know, quote, normal town. Everything is kind of, you know, kind of in the middle there. You know, there's nothing too extreme about Swindon, so they often try things out. You know, Switch, what you know, contactless used to be called Switch in the old days, and that was brought out here first. So in fact, what we got here is we got 5 counterclockwise satellitic roundabouts around a central roundabout. It's quite exciting. So in fact, the central roundabout goes around the wrong way, but all these little ones go around the right way. And if you want to negotiate this at speed, of course, it helps to have a little bit of assistance. So the central roundabout is actually filled with depleted uranium, in order to exact a small gravitational pull to enable you to stay on the roundabout. It was called the Magic Roundabout just as a, you know, a sort of slightly derisive comment by locals, and the council actually hated this for a long time, and they thought it was, you know, desperately disrespectful, as these sort of roundabouts would be all over the country because it was such a brilliant idea, and in fact they weren't. There's another one in Hemel Hempstead, but that's it.
Much better. No, it's not.
No, it's
Much
not.
better.
No.
It what?
Off you go.
Someone there were, hang on, what was that?
Hemel Magic Roundabout is much better.
Yeah, I know that. I just said.
Hemel is very tame compared to that.
Thank you. Yeah, I said there was another one in Hemel. Unbelievable. I mean, yeah. So the one in Hemel Hempstead is clearly inferior. Just so we're absolutely clear on this, you know, there is no mistake.
No.
The one in Hemel Hempstead is clearly inferior. Of course, we do now apologise because we have to show balance to anyone who is here from Hemel Hempstead. You know, this is my BBC training. You have to have, you know, right in the middle there.
It's got a river running through it.
What, Hemel Hempstead?
Yeah.
It has a river running through it.
No, there is a roundabout.
Oh, what? Right, okay, the river runs through the... Can we go to the Hemel Hempstead? Is that possible in an hour about? To check? No, not really, no. We can't do that, no. No, okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, so here we are at the Super Hoop Stadium. I've got a feeling in my memory banks that a stadium here came from Aldershot or something, from the...
one stand over there.
Where's that one?
Before they rebuilt it.
Okay, yeah. So this, yeah, the stand on the right, yeah, it was imported from Aldershot, but they've all been replaced. Yeah, so this was the site of the Super Hoop, which is featured in one of my books. Don't ask me which one, which is quite exciting. And I don't know, it was all kind of interesting. And then it starts raining, and of course the key players who are all Nathaniels go, no, we don't play in the rain. So they all had to go inside. But it was I do like croquet and Super Hoop. I thought it was a nice mix of, you know, politeness and extreme violence, which is basically sums up the British colonial experience. Yes, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm going to have to kill you and take over your country. You know, really? Yes, I'm terribly sorry about this. It's going to be awful. I feel terrible. Yeah. Anyway, basically, the same sort of policy that Burglar Bill had. I mean, that was essentially, you know, British colonial policy around the world is essentially Burglar Bill. You know, ooh, that's a nice country. I'll have that. You know. Right. So yeah, I think we can move on. I've never actually been here. What is Swindon like actually? In what league are they in?
League Two.
Where are they?
4th tier.
4th tier.
Yeah, 4th division. Yeah.
4th division. Okay. 4th division. Okay. Straight ahead we can see the one skyscraper in Swindon. Yeah. What is it called?
Tower of
David
Brunel.
Murray John Tower.
David Murray John Tower. Town. Who was the town clerk?
He was the town clerk.
Yeah.
a long time ago,
Yeah.
Until about 1970 something.
Yeah.
And yes, David Murray John was the town clerk of Swindon, which is like the chief executive of today, from about just after the war until the 70s, and that was built in the 70s, so I think it's a monument to him basically, because he didn't last long after. Any photo you saw of him, even official sat at his desk in the town hall, he always had a fag hanging out of his mouth. Right, on the right, you see something strange. People from mainland Europe would not understand what it says. No vehicles over 30 hundredweight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is.
There's 20 hundredweight to the ton. £112 to Americans. There we go.
Yeah, I heard a news story that Boris Johnson was going to bring back pounds and ounces.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, so I don't know whether that's what's happening about that. Yeah, I don't think they ever went away, to be honest. Okay, but the John F. Murray Abraham, actually no, didn't he kill Mozart? I think he did kill Mozart. Anyway, that is one of the 7 wonders of Swindon. Well, there are actually only 6 wonders of Swindon, because one of the wonders was too wonderful and had to be destroyed. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like British motorcycles; they were so good they had to stop making them. You know, and the wonder was so wonderful that it was just too much. And obviously, the people in you know, the council in Swindon just said, "Look, we just got too many wonders here. We're gonna have to cut. We're gonna have to cut down on our wonders because it's just too good." You know, other people, Reading are getting annoyed that we're just too good. So we're going on the outside. I do know people who've lived around here for a very long time, but avoid the magic roundabout at all costs because they just fear and loathe it. It wasn't. It uses up an awful lot of space. Actually, I mean, you could do quite a lot with this land. But it wasn't rolled out throughout the world and the planet. It just stayed here in Hemel Hempstead. And as previously stated, this is much better than the one in Hemel Hempstead. just in case anyone starts to. Anyway, right. So we're sort of going. Oh, we're going around. That's good. Yeah, a couple of circuits. We've just got get our frequent magic roundabout points. So you can put those in your books. Anyone who has the books. And once you get 100 roundabout points, you can go round the roundabout for free for one more time.
I can get anybody disorientated.
Good. Yeah, anyone who feels dizzy, just since we've gone round the roundabout, just put your head between your legs, or someone else's. Right. So, okay. So we're going back towards. We're going back towards the Tesco's. Yeah, Tesco's, and the location for the second coming of St. Svulks, as you'll remember in one of the books, who turns out to be rather less saintly than they should imagine and rather disreputable sort of character. I always kind of like the idea, I mean, I've known a couple of people who said they were reincarnated, but they were always reincarnated from someone good. I've never met anyone who was reincarnated from like a sort of a thief or a lowlife or someone horrible. It's always reincarnated from Cleopatra, and it's like, whoa. Anyway, so yeah, so he's kind of disreputable character. I kind of like the idea that the once majestic cathedral of St. Svulks was its proudest boast was that no trace of it remained. The only major cathedral in Europe of which there is now no trace at all, and that was what everybody sort of boasted. But curiously enough, the Tesco's that's now been built on its site does have a kind of rather odd, we'll see it in a sec, does have a rather odd cathedral-y look to the roof. Are we going to see it? No, yeah, probably not. No. Yeah, we were. It's up here. Yeah. So so it has a sort of cathedral-y look to it, and I think, you know, it's a modern cathedral of sort of consumerism, because you can buy everything there, you know, almost from cradles to coffins. So that might indicate that there you go. There we are, the Cathedral of St Svulks, with a very sort of cathedral-y look to its roof. And I think the second coming of St Svulks happened in the trolley park to our right, perhaps. Which was quite exciting, actually, quite an exciting event. It was also actually, this is actually on the site of, I think, the old Will's cigarette factory. It was, wasn't it? Yeah. So that was actually here when Woodbines. Ah, fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, you know, whenever I'm feeling a bit down or unhealthy, I always go to my 1950s doctor, and I can really recommend this, because they smoke, right? First of all, they smoke, and then they tell you that Woodbines will be better for my throat, you know, even if I didn't smoke, and then they tell me to buck up, and I go away feeling really good for like a couple of weeks. So I thoroughly recommend going to see your 1950s doctor. You know, oh, come on, Fforde, pull yourself together, boy. You know, there's nothing wrong with you. You know. And if you're feeling glum, just cheer up. Yes, so that's St Svulks. Okay, moving on. Oh.
It's all right. It's all along the road.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there we go. Tesco Extra. Yes, sort of one of the Goliath Corporation's many acquisitions over the years. Here we go. Right, so I guess the railway must be running to our left at the moment. Yeah, so that must be over there. Another beautiful roundabout. Rather lovely, actually, with those with the trees on it. Yeah, it's rather splendid. I think we're going to go, yes, very interesting. Yes, didn't expect this. Yeah, it's like playing Mornington Crescent. But we didn't see, we didn't see the names of, Thursday Place and Mycroft Way and Havisham Close. Yeah, that is quite amusing. But anyway, yeah, but that is a little bit, shall we say? Well, no, I don't think you get this big bus down the roads, to be honest. No. Well, you could, but you'd push a few cars out of the way. Ah, to hell with it. Let's go anyway. Yeah.
We did do the bus tour virtually last year, so they can go back and watch that again if we want to see those streets.
Okay, if you want to see, if you're desperate to see those streets, and I know you are, you can actually go onto the Fforde Ffiesta website and you can watch the virtual tour, and then you can get a look. Okay. So St Joseph's College. So we've done a big arc now, so we're coming all the way round, and I think we're then going to be heading up to Old Town. Back to the Magic Roundabout. Yes, get your frequent roundabout booklets out again. There's that smart car again. Hasn't gone yet. That's a bargain. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so so Thursday used to drive this. Well, she still does, of course, in the books. She has this lovely little Porsche 356, which is covered in a Escher lizard pattern. So I did actually do that to my 356. I have a little replica 356 on a Beetle chassis, and I've just recently rebuilt it. And I was gonna, if I hadn't have brought those paintings with me, I actually would have brought the Speedster with me. But it doesn't have the Escher lizards on it. I finally painted over them, and it's now back to black. So that car is still around, and I just love the vehicle. And as you may notice in the books, there are quite a lot of references to interesting vehicles, all of which I think are fab. You know, cars, yeah, dangerous things, but they have been the design of some cars very beautiful, and the Porsche 356 look it up on the internet, is one of the most beautiful designs ever. Along with the D-type replica, well, not D-type replica, D-type Jaguar, of which I don't know. Actually, I bought years ago. I bought the Porsche, not the Speedster replica. You know, not because I really liked them. Well, it was because I really liked them. But what's ironic?
Sign on there.
Where?
Burger King. Flame grilling since 1954.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, up there, covered in the tents, was the old Burger King, which burnt down.
Ah, right. So on the right, burnt down. Yeah, flame grilling since 94. Yeah, that is a little bit ironic. Not quite as ironic as a fire station burning down, which would be even better.
But the fire station's just there.
Yeah, they didn't have to go very far, did they? In fact, amazing they let it burn so long. Maybe they just thought, it's just around the corner, we'll be fine. It's like you're always, when I worked on location in the film business, the only time you were late, because being late was like a major taboo. I mean, it was really bad news. But the only time you were late was when you were at a location 5 minutes from your house. It was the only time you were late, because you went, just saunter in, and of course, you know, you're always late. You know, when the location was 200 miles away, you're of course like 3 days early. But if the location was around the corner, then no. Okay, so we're going to be heading up towards Old Town. Yeah, anyway, so no, what I was saying about the Speedster. Yeah, so what I did is I bought the Speedster because at the time, you know, I could have bought like a Porsche Coupe 356, you know, and it would have been maybe comparable kind of price, but I thought, no, I'll get this one until I can afford a real one, you know. But unfortunately, my earning potential did not rise at the same level as the value in which vintage Porsches go up, and those little Speedsters now are upwards of, you know, £250,000, which is crazy money. And do I really want to be a Porsche driver? Probably not, you know. Okay, so we're just gonna have a little filter here. We're gonna filter right into Groundwell Road, which is curiously also the name of my autobiography. The reason is kind of lost in the mists of time. Interesting little sort of pre-war terraced housing. These terraced houses may have been radicalized by ordinary houses. Yes, thank you for that small bit of laughter for that. Very, very lame joke. Terraced house, been radicalised. No, never mind. It wasn't funny. You're right. Why laugh? You know, actually, that is a really beautiful piece of that co-op. Yeah, look at that. With a glazed tile front to it. It's gonna look like sort of what Burton's used to have, doesn't it? I wonder what that was originally. Anyway, was it always a co-op? Kind of cool. Okay. So where are we going now? We're kind of. Oh, council offices. Euclid Street. Okay. Spec Ops Head. Thank you, dear. Yeah. Euclid Street. Named. Maybe is this where Euclid used to live? I think this is where he did. This is where he did all his maths. I think it was in that terraced house just on the right. Yeah, that's where Euclid used to live with Mrs. Euclid and all the little Euclids. Yeah. Yeah. Just ram. It's fine. I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. What, recently? By a oh, okay, not by a terrorist house. No, okay, right. Oh, right. What, personally? God, he does some. He asked someone to do it. Yeah, I didn't think he did the bombing himself. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is the council chambers here on. Now I get it where we are. Yeah, council chambers here on our right. Now, as a little known story that I repeat endlessly is that I was actually mayor of Swindon for a very brief period of time, because the then mayor I was introduced to, and we had a little thing for publicity. Mayor Benfield he was, and it must have been a good 12-15 years ago. And he said, look, I can make you the mayor. Just for 10 minutes, because I have that power. And it's like, if you have that sort of power, why would you not use it, you know? So anyway, he said, okay, here's what we'll do. And he got all excited then. He said, look, my man, Nobby, who carries his mace and drives him in his car, he said, look, you go out, put on the robes, Nobby will put on the robes, but no, he'll put the robes on you, not on Nobby, obviously. And then he'll walk in front of you carrying the mace, right, into the chambers, and we'll all be in here, and we'll say, you know, please rise for Mayor Fforde of Swindon, and then you can like say things that you want. And I went, oh, terrific, you know. And anyway, so that's what happened. And I wore all the gear, and Nobby carried the mace, and we went into the council chair. All rise for Mayor Fforde. Now, Mr. Mayor, would you like to, you know, make any proclamations? And I went, yes, absolutely. First of all, I'm going to make Swindon an independent city-state within England. And it was like, brilliant, you know, fantastic. And then I said that, everyone will be requested comply. You have to wear clean underwear every day, right? And underwear would be worn on the outside so we can check, right? And you can see power had gone completely to my head by now, and I was being driven insane. And then I said that the national language of Swindon will be Welsh, you know, from like now. And then I was stripped of all my duties and ignominiously booted out. Now, it was fun. It was fun. We had some fun. But I am actually now officially an ex-mayor, but not an ex, you know, real mayor, an ex sort of honorary mayor. So yeah.
Right. You did. So yeah, I know. I used to live in Wales. So right. Actually, in the 1860s, the Great Western Railway had a rolling mill. Set up a rolling mill. They got people from Tredegar in South Wales to work it, because they were the guys. Their ironworks in Tredegar just shut down. So they said, you are guys, there's jobs here. And there was so much friction and fighting among the unmarried Welsh workers that the council, the new town local board, banned the Welsh language. So this end of town, at the bottom of the hill, the Welsh language is banned by a local bylaw. Still is. Nobody's ever got round to repealing it.
Wow, that is good. Now I know. While I never knew that. That's why I was stripped of being a mayor. It's amazing what you discover 15 years later, isn't it? But yeah, but Mayor Benfield was terrific. He was a really good sport, and we had news cameras and taking photographs and everything. And he was a tremendous sport, and so was Nobby. And it was just great fun. It was a great day out. And I did some press over at W.A. Smith and everything. So it was really good, really good. But yeah, I never knew that about Wales. So the Welsh language. But it doesn't stop you fighting. I mean, the Welsh can fight in English. I mean, you know, it doesn't stop you fighting, does it? But maybe it was just to say, oh, listen here, Taffy. You know, just, you know, yeah.
Actually, the council at the time was ruled by GWR officers.
Oh, it would have been, yeah.
To maintain order with the work.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the whole of Swindon would have been essentially a railway town. Everyone would have been employed by the railways, GWR. Okay, so now we're kind of sort of old towny. There's a new mural. Haven't seen that before.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah, we should see as much of Swindon as possible, because I know you're all on the phone to your travel agent booking your holidays in Swindon. So that looks like the back of a cinema, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, back at the back of the cinema. Yeah, let's go see the front of the cinema. Okie dokie. All right, so we're gonna go once round here. I don't think you can actually put this on your. No, why not? To hell with it. Put this on your frequent roundabout, magic roundabout booklets. It's not a real one, but I'll countersign it. Okay, this is a green light district and a red light district all in one. Yeah. Okay, nice, interesting use of a phone box there on our right. Okay, that's. Yes, because soon, like for telephone boxes, it will be like, what's a telephone box, Grandad? They'll all be gone. Oh, a new library. I love those two words together, new and library. New library. It looks like it has books in it as well, which is, I can see books in the library. That is so cool.
Hasn't remembered yet.
No.
Yeah, it was quite funny. I mean, I live in Wales, but I'm on the border with Herefordshire, so we know quite a lot of people live in Herefordshire, and the Hereford Library Service decided that they thought, well, these libraries, I'm sure we could save some money by cutting down on the libraries. And then they said, the operating budget of all the libraries was like a tenner, and they couldn't actually cut down. They were nearly all voluntary, so they couldn't shut them down, which is quite good news, because they just weren't spending any. Oh, sorry, hang on, we have a fact about the town hall.
Right, the mystery fact. The building nearest to you is the new library, which opened in, 2009, I think, which has actually got 3 stories, and the town hall behind it has got 2. So how do they join up? They are joined up. You can't walk from one to the other, but one's got 3 floors and the other's got 2. And the clock tower, as tall as it is, because when we go to Old Town we'll see the old town hall, and this is the new town hall, and this one had to be bigger than this. So it's an extension skywards, if you like.
Yeah, a sort of height one-upmanship. Yeah, they do that. They did it in New York too, but I think they were like copying Swindon. New York always copies Swindon, because the Carfax. I'm talking. The Carfax was a ramp, a circular ramp that went up onto a concrete car park. Concrete car park, and that was clearly, that design was stolen for the Guggenheim in New York. That Frank Lloyd Wright just nicking ideas from the best all the time.
Yep.
Never had an original thought in his life.
Here, here.
Who said here, here?
I did.
I was being ironic.
Well, I was.
The cake stand. Yeah. Yeah, the cake stand. Oh, looks like some sort of school on our right. That's quite exciting. There you go. Yeah, technical college. Okay, so we're going up the hill into Old Town. The name of Swindon is meant to be from Swine Dome, Pig Hill. So it's thought that maybe pigs lived up the hill, and that this Old Town, as the name suggests, is the original Swindon, and then all the rest spread out from here. But that's where Swindon comes from, Swine Dome or Pig Hill. Swine dung, you're saying? Okay, so we have 2 possibilities there. I obviously read the polite version, but you could, if it was swine dung, it's like presumably someone came years ago, 1,000 years ago. What's your town called? And they must mistaken and said, what's your town like? And they answered, oh, well, it's sort of pig poo, basically. You go, no, what's it called? And never mind, we'll go with pig poo. So here we are at the top of Swine Dome, or Swine Dung, as you would like to say it. Some rather nice Bath stone there, rather splendid. Ah, the Swindon Advertiser. Yeah, I've been in the Swindon Advertiser not literally, obviously, but I've been in it 3 or 4 times actually now. It's quite good. Usually about the 7 Wonders of Swindon. Interesting, a little aside about the 7 Wonders of Swindon. It was on the Swindon website, and a family drove up from Cornwall because they were interested in seeing the llamas, right? The Elgin llamas, which was one of the Swindon wonders. And a jogger. Yeah, there's the official jogger. Yeah, hooray, official jogger. We always have to spot a jogger. Ever since the first time we did this, there was a jogger, and I think I made the comment that you never see them go into houses, do you? They're only ever jogging. You never see one go into a house. They just exist. So anyway, so this family came up from Cornwall to look at these Elgin llamas, these like sort of urban variety of llamas which lived in Swindon, and they complained bitterly to the Tourist Information Order, the office, that they didn't exist, and they were hoodwinked, and that there were no llamas in Swindon after all, and they'd come all the way to Cornwall to see the llamas. And it's difficult to know what to say to that, really. And it's like, do you really think there were llamas? Well, it said so on the website, on your official website. And it's like, okay, we're going to have to put a little disclaimer, like this is a joke. Anyway, a little ghost sign, a rather nice little ghost sign there. Can't quite read it, but there you go. Usher's Ale and Stout, thank you, from the fall of the House of Usher, because that must have fallen, that House of Usher, and it's now a ghost sign. Okay, so we are, I think, heading off down towards the Goliath Corporation headquarters. Yeah, another little roundabout. So another nice glazed tile exterior. So sort of this is kind of Old Town. I always figured that Landon and Thursday lived in Old Town, although I kind of vaguely knew the street. I think it was one of these around here. I never actually. Oh, you live down there. I never really sort of did I never really had a specific house. Whereas for her mum, I actually had a specific house. Oh, she was there. Oh, she was there. So we're going to. Sorry, what's your name? Tony.
Yeah.
So we're going to. Tony's missus is going to join us. I think. Is she going to join? Does she have to sit here? No. Oh, okay. So welcome to Tony's missus, Nicola. Where is she? Are you waiting for her? Okay. Hello, are you Nicola? Hello, I'm Jasper. Are you going to join us for the rest of the tour? Or are you just going to... Great. That's for you. Welcome to Nicola. Do you want to be upstairs or downstairs? Okay. There we go.
Hello.
Welcome.
There we go.
Oh, the airfield.
Got your book, I see. Excellent. Good. Right. So carrying on. We're actually, Nicola, we're quite near the end of the tour.
All right.
Sadly, but but we got a few more things to see, I think. Go round again. Okay, so and I have actually two very good friends who live down here on Playdale Road, so I do know this area quite well. Anyway, yeah. So I think on the far ridge, that would be, is that Wanborough? Yeah. You think you can see the Rawton. That's it, Rawton Airfield, right up on the ridge there. I used to keep an aeroplane on an airfield which was about 2 miles away, and we thought it'd be fun to go to a rally at Rawton, which was 2 miles away, and see if we could actually have the shortest possible journey, because it was literally flying time about, like 58 seconds. But actually, as it turned out, we had to go into the circuit, and it still took us about 15 minutes. But we did do it, and I think it is actually the shortest point to point cross country that I've ever done. Okay, so going down here. I think we're heading towards the Goliath Corporation headquarters. Yeah, I don't think they actually were they in the books. Yeah, I mean Goliath Corporation has offices everywhere, of course. So they would have had one in Swindon, definitely. Yeah, and the let's think. I think there's the sequence in one of the books where they're catching meteorites as they come in on a meteorite shower, which was always an idea I kind of like. That happens on another little hill just off to the left, which is a hill fort, which is actually genuinely up there. Right, so we're gonna now negotiate to the Goliath Corporation headquarters. So that's a blood delivery. There we are. So blood deliveries always have the blood they've got on them plus 8 pints, always remember. So don't try and run them over. Yeah, I suppose, yeah, vampires must lie in wait, mustn't they, for motorcyclists. Yeah, we can ask Steve if he's here, whether he's had any issues with Steve, have you seen taking photographs throughout the day and throughout many fiestas, actually, kind of official photographer. He delivers blood on a motorcycle, so I must ask him whether he's ever encountered any sort of vampires, or whether vampires are like trying to sign up. I would like to be this motorcycle blood delivery. Would you? And what's your name? Count. And second name? You do not need to know this. Okay, here we have the Goliath Corporation headquarters. How about that? So you just imagine Goliath Corporation all over the front of it. And it's from here that they bought Antarctica, if you recall. They bought Antarctica because they were exporting ice and penguins, and they decreed, of course, that the daily intake of penguin to be healthy is 1 penguin. Oh. And someone working Sundays, isn't it? Oh, a cleaning window and a taxi. Oh, there we go. Yeah, some nefarious activities going. I mean, this, you know, they say it's the Nationwide Building Society, but I'm not sure. Speaking of building societies, actually, no, actually, let's not speak of building societies. Well, no, we can actually. So I worked with Sean Connery a couple of times, and the first thing you do when you're working with Sean Connery is you're trying to do his accent, right? You're trying to. It's like working, you know, with anyone who is an obvious, you know, target for being an impression. And we're all trying to go, you know, yes, and trying to make Connery impressions. And what I found was that if you said Bristol and West Building Society, it was actually a really good entry to start doing Sean Connery impressions. So you can actually do it. Anyone who says Bristol and West Building Society in a Sean Connery accent does sound kind of good, and you can try it yourself. But it kind of goes kind of like this: Bristol and West Building Society. So it's like he's in the room. It's like he's on the bus, isn't it? Yeah. But if you remember that one as an entry one, you know, it works quite a Bristol and West Building Society. So yeah, you can try that yourself. I can't do anything else. That's it, and it's not very good. But anyway, yeah. So there is the Galath Corporation and the drowning pond in front of it for anyone who doesn't wish to partake of the Galath's nefarious activities with all the due enthusiasm that is expected of them. They will just be dumped in there and got rid of. And there's a little sign about a duck giving orders to a duck, presumably. Oh no, it would be. What duck? There on the left. I don't know where you can see it. I don't know what orders you would give to a duck, quite. Oh no, hang on, it's for traffic, isn't it? To be wary of ducks. Yeah. Yeah, but how do ducks know that this is where to cross? Because they got the sign. But I mean, the ducks.
Pictures of themselves.
So you must see confused ducks, like walking up and down, going, "Where do we cross? Where's the sign? Is it rabbits on the other side? Is there a rabbit sign?" It's kind of it's kind of endearing, isn't it, that humans put up signs, you know, to watch out for ducks. I think it's quite nice, whilst at the same time selling arms to anyone who will buy them. Right, it's the duality of humankind. Okay, so we're heading now another roundabout, which someone has decided not to advertise there. Where would you like to? Piper's Way? I don't know. Which shall we? Piper's Way. We're heading back. What's the time? Oh, it's 11 o'clock. We should start heading back. Yeah, let's head back. Yeah, let's head on back. Yeah, head back. Yeah. There we go. And there's another jogger. Yay! No, another jogger. Way.
Village Hotel Swindon. Non-jogging joggers, or walkers, as I believe they're known. Jasper Fforde.
So we're actually quite close to base now, aren't we?
I think I've got a couple of books.
Oh, okay, back towards Old Town. Okay. All right, heading back towards that. Okay.
Could have brought all your books inside.
Yeah, the other one is Michael Caine was the other one that as soon as you start working with him, you're trying to emulate his accent. And he's another one that the sentence to use if you're trying to do a Michael Caine impression, and for anyone who doesn't, yeah, you must all know. Yeah, of course you do.
Yes.
Is his classic one from Zulu, which was of course was, "Don't throw that bloody spear at me." And again, that's the only one I can do. But if you want to start doing, you know, impressions of Michael Caine, that's the one to do. Yeah, it's a kind of mixture of throw the bloody doors, but I only told you to blow the bloody doors off, and Zulu. I just like the idea. Don't throw that bloody spear at me. He's a really sweet guy, and it's amazing because like he and Sean Connery like come from the same degree of crushing poverty. I mean, absolute crushing poverty. And Sean Connery remained, you know, to his dying day. I mean, he was probably very disappointed he couldn't take it with him. But he remained to his dying day, and I suppose it's a bit disrespectful of those passed away. But he was notoriously tight. Yet Michael Caine was completely the opposite, except when it came to the taxman when he lived in France. But he was actually very generous, and he was on the film set again very, very different. Caine was very generous with time. He'd stop, he'd chat, he'd tell jokes, he'd listen to jokes, he'd laugh at jokes that weren't funny. It just a sweet guy, and everybody we regarded him as like absolute royalty within the film industry. Crews loved him because he was so generous. Unfortunately, Sean was not so generous with his time, but came from very similar backgrounds, but dealt with it in two entirely different ways. Okay, so we're back to the old town, and there's a quite delightful building on the right. You can't really see it, but it's been slowly falling down. Are you going to go straight on? Yeah, go straight on. Yeah, go straight on. Yeah, there's a story behind it, but this rather splendid looking building on the right, just here, which is kind of dilapidated and with trees growing out of it. Oh, it's still there. Yeah, it's rather lovely. Yeah, there is a story behind that, but the person who owns it doesn't want to develop it, or there's something bizarre going on. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been in dispute 20 years, but it's a rather nice old building. Right. Oh yeah, and I think the Goddard Arms isn't that where we had? This is where we had the first Fforde Festival.
Yep.
The Fforde Festival was in the Goddard Arms, which is actually there isn't a building underneath it. You go in there and it's all ivy. And you know all the rooms are made of ivy and everything else, and it's just cut in the shape of a building to make it look like a building, but actually it's all ivy. It's quite interesting. But that was where the first Fforde Festival was. All the other ones have been down where they are now, the village, formerly the De Vere. But yeah, so going back down now. So on the right here, this was the Blessed Lady of the Lobster. Just this one here. There you go. But I think the GSD church was based over in Wanborough, the one that Joffe was the priest of. So yeah, but this one, that is the Blessed Lady of the Lobster. Lobsters being a theme that turn up quite a lot in my books. Don't ask me why. I just think they're funny. You know, crabs aren't particularly funny, but I think lobsters are funny. My wife Mary and I adopted lobsters as our totem, so we can't eat them. So we don't eat lobsters. Right, so there's an interesting pillar box. I wonder if we're going to go past Thursday's Mums. No, that's on the other road to the right, so we won't go past that. Never mind. Upham Road, as in they don't like it Upham. Yeah, named after Corporal Wilson's. No, not Wilson. Jones, Corporal Jones's well-known saying. Yeah, and the curse of Dad's army is nearly complete. But I think Ian Lavender, because it's very spooky to realise that all the cast, except I think maybe the Pertwee, have now died. And yeah, Ian Lavender's still with us, but that is like the curse of Dad's army, that anyone who ever worked on it on the cast is now dead, which is kind of spooky and weird. Yeah. Interestingly, I mean, for anyone who has watched Dad's Army, Captain Mannering was like the third choice, and they couldn't get anyone to do it. And Arthur Lowe, who played Captain Mannering, yeah, he was the third choice. You know, why are we getting him to do it? He's not funny. He doesn't do comedy. And the two people that we really wrote the part for didn't want to do it. And it's like, we're just going to have to go with it. We're just going to have to go with it. You know, what are we going to do? And of course, he turned out to be absolutely the best character to play it, and was fantastic as this, yes, very, very pompous individual. Anyways, and we're back to the magic roundabout. How about that? I mean, you know, we just live only for excitement at the Fforde Ffiesta, as you can see. There we go. There we go. Yeah, this.
The
Yeah.
books because of the Swindon election. Is that
I
what
didn't
it
know
started?
about it.
They took away a roundabout.
Really?
What here? Where this thing was?
So that's like reason.
There was a bridge over the canal there. This used to be in a...
Ah, that was the canal. We're now on the
How long
canal.
have you been reading
No,
that?
driving down the middle of the canal.
Dad, driving down the middle of the canal. How about that? Yeah, the canal. They the council were
What
dead
ones haven't
against
you
it,
read?
and I suppose the council being railway, there's a very good reason
So you
for
read
it,
all of
but
the
they couldn't
first
fill it in
ones?
quick enough.
Yeah.
And
About
now
the other
there is no
series,
longer
do you read any of those?
any canal. But you can see this actually further out of Swindon on the west. You can see
Yeah,
actually
the
the
nursery rhyme,
where
yeah,
it went.
two
It's a
of
cycle
those.
route.
Yeah, I've read one of those.
Yeah,
I think that's about
yeah.
it.
Oh, right.
No, this is the site of the roundabout.
Shades of
that was
grey.
taken away.
That's the first
Oh,
one.
removing roundabouts.
There's,
Wow, that is very go ahead. I thought they only added roundabouts in Swindon. They didn't take them away.
Oh, there's kids' books of Dragon Slayer.
So does that mean there's?
But they're still quite funny.
Yeah, that's strange, that, isn't it?
Some young kids, but they're still.
I wonder if you removed all the roundabouts in Swindon and then carried on removing roundabouts, you'd move into a negative roundabout situation.
15 years that I've read that.
Right.
Because I've read it.
Here's a joke for mathematicians here on board. So there's two mathematicians watching an empty house, right? And then one person walks out, and one mathematician says to the other, when someone goes back in again, it'll be empty.
Yeah.
Yay! There we go. Someone liked the maths joke. Yeah.
I like the aspect of it being a parallel universe.
Yeah.
And you've got the mammoths and everything.
Okay, and this will be on the right. I think that was the sort of financial centre, and in the Seven Wonders of Swindon, the massive statue of Lola Vavoom was in that square.
And
You could,
I thought that then.
well, you can see them on my
Here,
website.
down this road, there were two big
Okay. God, they really pack these buildings in, don't they?
Right.
And I always had this feeling from this book that it was like an elevator.
There we go. The Ibis budget. That'll be where you're staying on your holiday in Swindon. I know you've already booked.
Yeah, I always had this feeling every time I walked past them. I
A
thought,
holiday Inn with no entrance.
Tower of Brunel again on the left.
Yeah, it'll mess with your mind.
God, this is so different to when I used to live near here.
Yeah, I think it's about 4
So
or 5
different.
in that series. Across the track.
Another ghost sign up there. That's a goodie, actually.
Sometimes there's a long wait between.
And we go past the museum here, actually. The museum's on the right. This is a railway village that you can see on your right here, which was built for the people who worked at the railway works. And they were all they had different rates depending on what position you were within the company. It's called the platform now, but it's still a museum, isn't it? Yeah, and they got.
They moved the railway museum over to where
Oh, of course they did. Yeah, it's moved now. There used to be a huge, great big locomotive in there.
that was the hospital.
There you go. Very small hospital. People were not allowed to be ill, as you can see. But it's listed, isn't it? I think it's in World Heritage. Is it World Heritage? Yeah, something quite bad. I don't know. Maybe World Heritage. Maybe Swindon Heritage. Yeah.
Precursor to the NHS.
Yeah.
All the health benefits and the swimming pool and everything else.
Swimming pool to our left.
1940s, after the war.
Yeah.
But this, Swindon Railway Village is still on our right.
Based on
Pub and everything.
the fund that they had for the railway workers.
Yeah, I visited because model villages are quite interesting because it's Victorian paternalism, which is of course an interesting subject in itself. So whenever there's a model village like the one Port Sunlight is one, and then there's Bourneville, which is another one, the chocolate one. And the interesting thing about Bourneville is that it is very idealised, and you go around there and you have a look at things. And the people who ran Cadbury's were Quakers, and they were very big into temperance. So in Bourneville to this day, you still are not allowed to have a pub inside the village sort of enclave, if you like. But anyways, right. So we're just going to turn at the left here. Another little roundabout. Not a very good one, that one. An irony. Another irony.
Yes.
Right, the road to the right, which is closed, goes under Rodbourne Road Bridge.
Now, at the moment, there's a contractor working laying cables, fibre optic cables, and they hit a problem. The old tram lines, laid in 1904 and disused since 1929, are in their way.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. So they got to pull up the old tram lines. Why don't they use them? That'd be great. Bring back trams. Yeah. Here we go. Have a little panting dog. Yeah, going back to vampires, I always had this idea for a short story where, you know, the Count lives in the village and he comes over and it's like, oh, Count, have you come to watch the eclipse with us? And he goes, what? What eclipse? What is this? Oh yeah, it's eclipse. It's just started. That's why it's dark. Oh, I've got to go. And no, don't leave. And then the sort of final thing would be like, you know, but we don't know what happened to the Count, but as he left, he sort of knocked over the ashtray. So something like that. I don't know whether I thought of that or whether I read it somewhere. It's one of those sort of things you kind of think, oh, that'd be a good short story. Actually, it's probably just left better as an anecdote, just like that. Anyway, so something exciting going on here on our right. Wow. These people obviously did not know that the Fiesta was happening. Otherwise they wouldn't have clashed like that. Yeah.
It's the duck race.
Oh, it's a Jubilee Bank Holiday big weekend. Yeah, there you go.
Probably a duck race.
Always happens.
How about that? Okay.
Yeah. This is what Bassett Road.
Yes.
Right, so here we have a BMW garage. Now, we're always convinced in my family that that Dick Lovett is not actually a name at all. It's just a rather vulgar joke, which might describe, you know, maybe one of the owners, perhaps. So yeah, I just don't think. And then further on down, there's the Fish Brothers, and it's like, no, these people aren't real. You know, just making up names now. Yeah, the Fish Brothers. There we go, Fish Brothers. Yeah, I mean, it's just made up stuff. Who were the brothers in the Lost Boys? Do you remember that film, The Lost Boys? Who were the brothers? Weren't they the Fish Brothers? What? Frog? Frog Brothers? No. Ah, this roundabout has been advertised by Fars and Far Places of Royal Wootton Bassett.
Just come back.
If you're thinking of getting a new fire or fireplace, then why not try Fires and Fireplaces at Royal Wootton Bassett?
Oh yeah, I've got.
Yeah, Stratford's Polyhaven.
Yeah, oh, that's a lovely place.
It's beautiful.
So I did my motorcycle test quite recently, and I've been discovered that really I've been very, very bad at roundabouts for the last 25 years. So I'm pleased to say that I'm actually now a much better driver since I actually retook a driving test. Okie dokie.
The place you were born is always going to be special. But some of those places are lovely. You've got to stay there.
Yeah,
So if I could afford a place in Stratford or that, then I'd never leave it.
No. Well, that's how it's with. They work for the MFU.
Right.
And we were just like in the studio flat all the time. So we won't actually pay rent for it.
Right.
We just there. Just live on it. Got the flat to live in.
This has a real Milton Keynes feel about it now, because you can drive around, but you can actually drive and cycle around Milton Keynes without seeing, you can cycle around Milton Keynes without seeing roads, which is really nice. And also there's a lot of screening of trees. Oh, and yeah, Duncan self-drive. If you're thinking of getting a self-drive car, then why not try Duncan's of Swindon, as advertised on a roundabout near you. Okay. Duncan. Duncan Disorderly. Yeah, Duncan Disorderly. Yeah, Duncan Disorderly. Yeah, or Donut. Duncan Donut. Or Duncan Disorderly. Yeah.
Have you ever met Jasper Fforde?
Okay, and as we drive through the leafy suburbs of West Swindon, we come upon the Link Centre. This was actually the Shore Ridge. This was my local cinema for like 10 years. So yeah, I think yeah,
It looks like it's landed from another planet.
it does a bit. It's all the radio masts. Yeah, and Pizza Hut. I think I've done at least 3 children's birthday parties at Pizza Hut. Yeah, Shore Ridge. This is where I famously saw Predator, if you remember that film from days gone past with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the great thing about watching Predator is I had no idea what it was about, and we couldn't get into something else that was there at the time. And after that, I always, if I want to see a film, I don't want to know anything about the film, because the whole thing about Predator, if you've seen it, spoiler alert, aliens. It's actually quite a good movie in a silly kind of way, good hokum as I call it. If you don't know there's an alien involved, and it was like Predator, I don't know, what is it, like a big cat or something, I don't know. And yeah, so I knew nothing about it, and having watched that film really with no idea what was happening, it was actually made it really, really good, because it was actually a genuine surprise. But yeah, good. So yeah, back at the ranch. Well, thank you very much indeed, and thank you, Tony, wasn't it? Tony, thank you, Tony, for being our driver. Thank you very much indeed. And I think we're into speed librarianing now or something.
Yeah.
And are you got to turn around before you drop us off? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, drop us off here. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, all right, brilliant. Thank you. Okay, brilliant. So that's the end of the Swindon tour. I hope it's been edifying, or at least allowed you a bit of time for some extra sleep before the rest of the day. But anyway, there we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah, that was different. It certainly was.